Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name's Marina. I am a certified lash tech based in Toronto, Canada, and I like making lash extension videos. And before I get into any of my videos, these are just my techniques and these are just my methods that work for me. So sometimes it might not work for everybody, so I do encourage everyone to go ahead and watch other people, learn from different avenues, because what works for me might not always work for you. So we're actually focusing on this set today that is a volume cat eye set. It is a fluffy set, and she is using lengths 9 to 14, and we are using D and double D curl, and the diameters of the fans are 0.05. And this set was very fun to do, but it's also a little challenging. And I say that it's challenging because with rounder eyes, it's actually quite difficult to achieve a cat eye set without dragging that eye down. So I'm not too sure if you guys have seen before, but sometimes when you look at certain lashes, you can see that it kind of drags the eye down, making the eyes look like they're drooping. It's kind of referred to as the puppy dog look. And there's a lot of people who actually like that kind of look. However, for me, when I'm trying to achieve any type of set, I try to avoid the drooping. I don't really think it's flattering to the eye or the face shape, and it's just not my style. So like, I'm not trying to bash anybody who does that style, but for me, I rather have a more lifted, pulled up look. So this is very common as to why people get the cat eye set. They like this kind of feline flick. It kind of reminds me of what eyeliner does. So at the end of the day, you always want to listen to what your clients want, and even if you do explain to them that maybe doll eye or open eye would be a better choice for them, at the end of the day, it's their set. So if they want cat eye, you're gonna have to give them cat eye. And that was kind of what happened with this client. She really wanted to achieve the cat eye look. She really loves the feline look, and she's actually one of my regulars, so we definitely like work together to kind of create this really beautiful cat eye volume set. And so the way that I avoid that kind of drooping for the eye, what I do is I put a lot of short lengths on the outer corners of the eyes, and then I go ahead and jump up and use the longest length after I put in those short lengths at the very ends. Now for circular eyes, I map it out so that the outer corners, there's maybe like a centimeter of the eye is short lengths, and then I go ahead and transition into the longer lengths. This way the eye is still lashed, and the flick of the cat eye is kind of closer to the middle of the eye, so that it really elongates and still gives it that nice feline look. I also like to put shorter ends on the very outer corners, because when I do that, when there's fallout, it doesn't look as droopy either. So if those longer lengths are falling out and you have those shorter lengths at the very outer corner, you won't get that kind of drooping look, because those outer corners are short and they are going to kind of keep a more lifted look rather than dragging the entire eye down, which is what would happen if I went 14 all the way to the very outer corner. So the outer corner length is actually I believe I go to 11 millimeters. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. So yeah, I go 11 millimeters on the very outer corner, and then I jump up and go up to 14 millimeters double D curl to give that nice look. Something that I also do for rounder eyes is I really drag out the longest length, and I kind of map it out so that most of the longer lengths are reaching more of the center of her actual eye. So when you look at the eyelid, the longest length is going kind of to the center, but not all the way to the center, because then you're going to create an open eye. But you do want to drag that length more closer to the center so that it doesn't pull down the eye. And I hope this makes sense to you guys. Another way to kind of see if it'll drag down the eyes to look at the eyebrows as well and see where the arc of their eyebrow is, and then through that I kind of map it out that way as well. But bringing in those lengths to the center has really allowed me to see the difference. Before I used to just, you know, do it on the very outer corners and just leave it at that. However, when you do that, like I said before, it just did not look good to me. In my own experience, I've just realized that, like, okay, if I'm gonna do a cat eye, I'm gonna drag it out a little bit more. This way it gives that nice flick look. If the client does have almond eye shape or more of like a feline shape that's smaller, maybe longer, width-wise, I would say that you don't have to really follow that mapping style because they already have an almond shape. So the cat eye set would actually look really nice on them, and it'll just be naturally looking lifted, if that makes sense. So it just depends on obviously the eye shape and like what your client wants. I mean, at the end of the day, if they want the droopy look, you can give them that droopy look, but from my own experience, I don't think that a lot of clients want that anyway. So this will allow you to really give a nice open eye and just also give you that nice feline flick. And I've mentioned this before in my other videos, but to achieve that feline flick, I also do skip a length between the 11, and then I don't put in 12, and then the longest lengths at the end are 14. So I skip a length because it honestly just really allows you to see that kind of cat eye flick that people are kind of looking for when getting a set like that. Now, you don't always have to like fully not like use that length, like not use 12. You can add 12s in there, but I just would suggest not using too many 12s. For me though, I just totally skip out on the 12s from the D curl and then jumping up to 14 double D because I just think that it's not really necessary. But again, everyone has their own style, so this is just my style and this is what I find that works for me. So please don't think that there's anything wrong if you use the 12 millimeters. And I'm also using the pinch method to create my fans. I did make a video on how I make my volume fans, so if you guys want to check that out, please go right ahead and check it out. I'm also kind of sorry about the camera. It was positioned very oddly sometimes, so it's kind of hard to see me applying, but just bear with me with the camera angle. So something I also would recommend doing throughout your set is brushing it out with a spoolie to kind of see where those lengths are sitting on the eye. And I use one of those under lash line mirrors to really kind of gauge, okay, should I continue adding more of the longest length or should we stop there? Because like I said before, you don't want to go too far in to that eye. So just be careful and make sure that you're still trying to achieve the gradual increase in sizes for that feline look. But it's really important if you have like a very dry environment and your glue is not drying fast enough to the point where you can brush them out, make sure you have a nano mister on you. Those nano misters are a godsend because they just cure and they just cure the glue quite fast actually. The only thing is that I would probably recommend is to make sure that you are holding the nano mister far away from the eyes. You don't want to put the nano mister directly on the eyes because what basically happens, it shocks the glue and you're gonna polymerize it way too fast. And when you polymerize lash extensions way too fast, what happens is that the base gets brittle, and when it gets brittle, it starts to kind of, I guess, break off. And then that's why a lot of people who use nano misters don't use it properly, and then you get really poor retention and your client is going to be messaging you and you're going to get one of those angry text messages or DMs or emails, and it's quite upsetting. So no longer than 10 seconds, I would say, and pretty far from the eye. You're just trying to do a gradual mist, and then you can go ahead and brush it out. Something that I would also recommend if you are a beginner is to map out the set, map out your lengths. Try to just figure out like where you want each length to sit. That way you might not get lost. I actually lash from like inner corner, outer corner, outer corner, like I've mentioned in my other videos. So I don't really feel the need to map it out. But if you're a sporadic lasher or you are short on time, meaning you just kind of add lengths with no pattern. You're just kind of filling in wherever you please. With that kind of method, I would recommend mapping it out. You don't want to get the lengths mixed up, and you also want to be achieving really high symmetry. Like, you want the eyes to look as symmetrical as possible. Obviously, sometimes it's not going to always be that way, but if you sporadically lash, there's a really good chance that you're not going to get that symmetry. And I think with doll eye, you might have more leniency when it comes to symmetry, just because for me and my style, I only use 3 lengths for doll eye, but for cat eye, you're using multiple lengths. So it's very easy to kind of get thrown off with how many lengths you put on one eye and how many lengths you put on the other eye, and especially during a fill, because obviously it's not going to look exactly the same as when you did their set the first time around. So when it's a fill, I don't really recommend sporadically lashing, but again, like, people do, and I know a lot of my lash tech friends do, so it's not really that big of a deal, but it is something that I would just be a little cautious of, and to make sure that you're still wanting the eyes to both look the same, because if they don't, your client's gonna probably look really funny when she looks at herself in the mirror. And just, you know, some clients are more picky than others, but at the end of the day, you want to give them your best work. So make sure to really pay attention to that. And as you can see, sometimes, like, I do sift through the lashes with my tweezers to make sure there's no stickies. If there's stickies, obviously you do want to pull them apart. However, if your environment and your room is at a good temperature and humidity, you really shouldn't have any problems with that. But at the end of the day, it happens. So just make sure that you're pulling them apart before she leaves the appointment, because you don't want her leaving with stickies. What's going to happen is that it's going to pull out the neighboring lash. Lashes all grow at different rates, and you don't want premature shedding and plucking out the eye next to her, and it could actually be very irritating as well. So that concludes the video today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and I post every Sunday around 6:15. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Any kind of engagement does help it. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. If there are certain videos you'd like me to make, I'm always open for suggestions, and you could also DM me on my Instagram if you have questions. I have a lot of my viewers kind of reach out to me and just ask me regular questions. I've been doing this for 3 years now, so I feel like, you know, I've got a good groove on it. There's people that have been doing this for like 10 years, 7 years, so I'm also still learning. And so if you guys have anything to suggest, please feel free to. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Sparks are flying, so I keep trying to get inside your mind and make you understand. Our love will withstand, 'cause you're my best friend. I have this feeling it will never end. I know you know we know we're on fire. The sparks in your eyes are what I desire. You're my light